I know this video is going to be extremely confrontational. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica, and today's video is going to be all about how I have been prepping my body for labor. I have to start off by saying that I am not a healthcare professional, but I have confided in both of my midwives as well as a huge community of other women who are expecting on all of the things that I will talk about and tell you about today. I first want to talk about why I decided this time around I would go with a midwife rather than an OB. And that was because the first time around, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what to expect. I was the only one I knew that was pregnant. I was the first of my friends to have a child, so I didn't have anybody else's experiences to go off of, and I didn't really do a lot of research as far as Googling things and joining Facebook groups and all of that. So I really just went with an OB because I went to the doctor and they assigned one to me, and I just kind of followed the steps that they were giving me. So the first OB that I was given, I really did not like. It was very impersonal. She gave me all sorts of tests, and there just was something that I did not like. I knew she was not my person. And the second one I liked, and she ended up moving over halfway through my pregnancy to a different clinic. So then the last OB that I had, I only met her twice before I went into labor. Every single appointment, they also tested me. They took my blood, they took a urine sample, they did all sorts of things, all sorts of tests. It just seemed like a lot. It made me kind of anxious and made me kind of worry a little bit as to why I was always getting these tests, but never really getting information from those tests. So I just didn't like the experience very well. So when I ended up going into labor, I was about 5.5 centimeters dilated by the time I got an epidural. I had contractions for 2 days, mostly when I laid down, so I really wasn't sleeping. Eating was not much of an option either. Every time I would eat, she would start moving around a lot, and then I would get more contractions, so I was exhausted by the time I was in labor. I didn't even see my OB until I was 10 centimeters dilated. After I got my epidural, I got about 10 hours of resting and just chit-chatting with my sister. By the time that they checked me, they said, okay, you're 10 centimeters dilated, and the OB came in. I honestly believe I was at a 10 for a long time because she said, okay, first-time moms usually push for about 2 hours. I'll come back and check on you in a little bit. Nervously and excitedly, I started to laugh. And as I'm laughing and the OB is walking out the door, my mom stops her and says, "No, doctor, come back, the baby's coming." So I start laughing a little bit harder and harder. And I see the whole thing in slow motion, and it's funny because my sister videotaped everything, but the way I see it, the OB came running back in, the nurse held open her scrubs, and she went shoo, with both of her arms, shoo, and caught my daughter as she came out. I did not even push, and I have heard that one way to make labor a lot less painful is to not even push at all, because your body, the contractions will actually push your baby out. So now that I know that, I'm like, that's probably exactly what happened. My body just pushed her out because it was time. I mean, she literally caught my daughter as she came out. So talk about a completely impersonal experience. I didn't even feel at the time like I gave birth to her. The look on my face in the video is like, did I really just have a baby? So definitely not the experience I wanted. Fast forward now, my sister has had 2 children. The first one she had an epidural, and the second time she had a midwife. She went all natural, and it was beautiful. That's definitely more so the experience that I want. So this time for my labor and birth, I've already signed my papers to do a water birth. Of course, there's a couple of things that could eliminate me from being able to have a water birth, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because that's exactly what I envision. for labor this time around. I also want it to be very dark, candlelight, nice music, just very, very calm and relaxing. With my sister's labor, there was really nothing calming about it. So my mom was screaming, she was screaming at the top of her lungs, and it was very chaotic, but the plus side to it was I got to see this midwife in action. She totally kept her cool. She was not distracted by all of the screaming. She kept looking at me, waiting to see if I was gonna scream, and I just started, it's anxiety when you're in a situation like that. So I was like, oh, next time around, I am definitely going with her. So I did. She is my midwife, and there's 3 in her practice. One I have only seen one time and wasn't a huge fan, but her and her colleague, amazing. I hope I get one of them and I would be extremely happy. So I know I have to set myself up for things to happen unexpectedly and things to not go as I hope, but I have a birth plan. I hope it works out exactly as I envision because that's my dream labor. I know it's gonna hurt. I want as little to no intervention as possible. So moving on to how I've been actually prepping my body for labor. The first thing I want to talk about is red raspberry leaf tea, which is totally controversial. I have been drinking red raspberry leaf tea since the day I found out that I was pregnant. Now, I've drank a cup a day every 3rd day in my first trimester. So just kind of a little bit here and there just to kind of get my body familiar with it, just to taste it. It also is kind of fun to have something to do as you're counting the days. For the 2nd trimester, I started drinking 2 cups a day. In the 3rd trimester, 3 cups a day, and now that I'm at week 37, I am drinking 4 cups a day. And starting next week at 38 weeks, I will be drinking a strong brew. The strong brew is 1 quart of water with 1 cup of red raspberry leaf tea simmered for 20 to 30 minutes. This is the red raspberry leaf tea that I purchased off Amazon. It is so much bigger than I ever thought it was going to be, but this is my 3rd bag. So it lasts a long time, but you'll need a big bag if you're deciding to do red raspberry leaf tea the way that I've done it. I'm a little anxious to see what's going to happen when I start doing the strong brew. I don't get contractions when I drink the tea, which is something that they say to look out for, but I definitely have gotten Braxton Hicks since 15 weeks, and I asked my midwife if I am just more aware of my Braxton Hicks because I've been drinking the tea, which does tone your uterus. So it makes your contractions so much more meaningful when you're in labor. So I have a feeling, and she agreed, that's probably why I can feel my Braxton Hicks contractions so much more than I ever did with Sunday, and why I feel them more than maybe other women who don't drink the tea. So I will leave a link down below from Amazon where you can purchase this tea. There are other ways you can sweeten it up. You can add honey, you can add sugar. I just drink it straight. I usually make a big batch of it and I just keep it in my refrigerator. That way I can just strain it as I go and put it in a cup. I was, for the first trimester, drinking it warm, but it's just so much easier to drink it as cold tea. I can just take it in my cup and go. So the second thing that was kind of an unexpected thing that I had to deal with was flipping a Breech baby. We went in for our 28-week elective ultrasound, and that's when I found out that baby was Breech. And I was really surprised to hear that just based on where I was feeling her. But needless to say, I do have an anterior placenta as well, and so she just wasn't cooperating while we were there for our 30-minute session. So we were able to go back in 2 weeks to redo it, which was awesome. So I definitely took those 2 weeks as a challenge and a mission to get her to flip. I tried so many things. Started off with doing I think it's called the Webster technique with my chiropractor, and that kind of just opens up your hips, I think, a little bit so that baby can move around. I did inversions, and that's where your knees are on top of the sofa or a bed and your hands or forearms are down on the ground. Essentially, it's like a downward dog, but just with a little more assistance. I did hip elevations, which if you go to spinningbabies.com, they use an ironing board to lay on, and I did not do that, but I did prop myself up with pillows or a big beanbag chair. I even did this technique while I was napping. So I would turn on my side while my hip was elevated. I turned on my left side just to give her a little bit more space, and I definitely could feel that she started moving around a lot more when I did that. So I could kind of just listen to my body to see what was helping her move a little bit. I did try the birthing ball, just kind of doing rotations on that. It said to go counterclockwise for 15 minutes and then clockwise again for 15 minutes and kind of just alternating doing that. I did the ice pack trick where you put an ice pack up here by their head, and that's supposed to make them uncomfortable and want to move away from the ice pack, so they'd start moving downward. I tried sound where I played music at the bottom of my belly. I even had Sunday talking to her near the bottom of my belly, thinking that she might gravitate more towards the noise and the light, which we tried. The last thing I tried was the midwife had suggested to lay down on my side at the edge of a bed or edge of the couch, where my bottom leg was extended outward and my top leg was hanging over my hips. I know she had flipped the day right before our next ultrasound, but that was still a really good technique that I think could have worked had I known it a little bit sooner. But lo and behold, we get to our 30-week ultrasound, and I'm like, I think she turned yesterday, but I'm not entirely sure. I could feel her hiccups were just a little bit different. So we'll see. We get in there, and sure enough, she flipped downward. I was so happy. And then everything just started kind of feeling a lot better too, because it's really uncomfortable when they're breech. So all of those things I did consistently for 2 weeks, and it paid off just in the nick of time. So the next thing on my plan was to be on my birthing ball the entire third trimester, which I have been doing. I will say though that being on the birthing ball, it's so comfortable when you're on it. I do a lot of bouncing, I do some like hip rotations on there, but once you get up, your hips just feel like they have totally widened, which I'm sure is exactly what it's supposed to be feeling like. And I'm sure that that's a great thing, but oh my gosh, is it uncomfortable, which timing wise, it's uncomfortable to go from a sitting position to standing regardless of what I'm doing. But that was my mission too, to spend as much time on the ball as possible. I only used the ball when I got into labor for those last couple of days with Sunday. And it definitely did help a lot. So hopefully my body is just utilizing the birthing ball as much as possible to get her to start descending a little bit. I did have my midwife appointment last week, and I was 1 centimeter dilated, 30% effaced, and at -1 station. So the concoction of all the things that I've been doing have obviously been helping with progression. The next thing I want to talk about is evening Primrose Oil. So starting at 36 weeks, I have been taking 2,000 milligrams of evening Primrose Oil every single night before bed. The first night I did only do 1,000 milligrams though. Now that we're at 37 weeks, I'm doing 2,000 milligrams in the morning, 1,000 milligrams at night, and inserting 1,000 milligrams vaginally, which you do puncture the capsules before inserting, and they look like this. They're about this big, and this is the brand that I'm using. I just got it at Target. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. If you have experience with the evening Primrose Oil, please put that in the comments below. I'm really eager to hear how it works. A lot of women say to make sure to wear a pad at night, which I did wear a liner last night just in case it made a huge mess, and it didn't really make as much of a mess as I thought it would, just judging by what other people had said. Because it didn't make much of a mess, this morning I did have to check and see if maybe the capsule was still inside. Maybe it hadn't dissolved all the way, and it sure did. And while I was checking, I could feel my cervix so much closer than I had a few days ago when I checked after my midwife appointment. So I definitely think that she's probably at a 0 or a +1 station. Also, I could feel the opening of my cervix a little bit more, so maybe I'm at like a 2, maybe even a 3. And my cervix definitely felt shorter than it has. So kind of exciting. I'm really excited for my appointment tomorrow to see how far I've gone with progress. And I will definitely keep you updated for my 37-week video coming up in a couple of days. Starting at 38 weeks, I do plan on doing orally 2,000 milligrams in the morning, 2,000 milligrams at night, and then another 2,000 milligrams vaginally. And I'll be doing that until I deliver. The other thing you can do with the evening Primrose Oil is a perineal massage. I would just suggest you Googling or YouTubing to figure out exactly how to do that. I did plan on starting to do these massages at 36 weeks, although I have not yet started to do it. I will be talking to my midwife about it tomorrow to see if that's something that will help, and if it is something that they suggest will help, I will absolutely start doing that. But if you've done it and it's helped or not helped, please let me know. I would love to hear about your experiences. And the last thing that I've been doing since 36 weeks are eating dates. 6 dates a day. They say that helps ripen your cervix as well. And honestly, they're not that bad. I thought they were gonna be way worse, but they are, I mean, literally they're smaller than this right here, but some of them can be pretty big. So I just eat 6 in the morning, and they're really filling. They taste really good. They do have, I think, lar bars that have dates in them as well, but I just eat them straight with my morning cup of half-calf coffee and a banana. So those are all of the things that I've been doing to prep my body for labor. I know this video is going to be extremely confrontational with some women thinking that I'm trying to put my body into labor early. I'll tell you, I'm a little over 37 weeks and I'm not in labor. So I think if any of these things were going to put me into labor, I would have already been in labor. As far as the red raspberry leaf tea goes, people think that that will put you into labor as well. And I've been drinking it for the last 8 months. So I can tell you from personal experience, it's not putting me into labor, but I can definitely feel that every contraction that I have is purposeful. So that's one thing that I am really excited about with labor, is that I feel like every contraction, all the pain that I feel is going to get me one step closer to meeting my daughter. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you found this video very informative, and I do hope that you talk to your midwife or OB about doing these things, whether it be one, whether it be doing all of them. Before you start trying to do them, do your research. It may not be the best thing for everybody. So this is just the stuff that's worked for me so far, and I can't wait to update you after I've had Brooklyn to let you know what I feel like did help, what I feel like didn't help. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And the next video that I have coming out will be my 37-week update, and I will be filming that tomorrow after I have my midwife appointment. Thank you so much for watching.